It's the American dream, isn't it? You sell that cramped, overpriced shoebox in Los Angeles, New York, or Chicago. You take that equity and you head south or Midwest. You buy a mansion for $300,000. You think you've won the lottery. You think you've beaten the system. But fast forward to today, February 2026, that dream has turned into a mathematical nightmare for millions of Americans. We are seeing a new phenomenon that economists are calling the Sun Belt regret. The sticker price of the house is low, sure, but the cost to keep that house? It is skyrocketing faster than at any point in history. I'm talking about home insurance premiums rising by 300%, property taxes that reassess the moment you hand over the keys, and grocery taxes that bleed your wallet dry every single week. Today, we are exposing the financial traps. We are counting down the top 7 cheap states that will actually bankrupt you in 2026. These are the places that look affordable on Zillow, but hide costs that will drain your retirement and savings. If you were thinking about moving to number 1, you might want to cancel that contract immediately. Let's dive in. Coming in at number 7 is a state that looks on the surface like the last bastion of affordability, Oklahoma. If you pull up a real estate map right now, Oklahoma looks irresistible. You can find sprawling ranch homes outside of Tulsa or Oklahoma City for $208,000. That is nearly half the national average. For a remote worker making $80,000 a year, this looks like a jackpot. You think, I can pay off my house in 10 years. But in Oklahoma, the house isn't the cost. The sky is the cost. We need to talk about the actuarial death spiral. In 2025 and early 2026, the severe weather patterns in Tornado Alley shifted. It wasn't just the big tornadoes, it was the frequency of hail, wind, and severe thunderstorms. Insurers responded not by leaving, but by changing the rules of the game. Most homeowners in Oklahoma are now being forced onto policies that only cover actual cash value of their roofs. Let me explain what that means, because it is bankrupting families right now. Let's say a hailstorm shreds your roof. A new roof costs $20,000. In a normal state, insurance pays $20,000. But in Oklahoma, if your roof is 10 years old, the insurance company says it has depreciated. They write you a check for $5,000. You, the homeowner, have to come up with the other $15,000 out of pocket immediately. If you can't pay it, you don't get a roof. If you don't fix the roof, your insurance is canceled. If your insurance is canceled, the bank forecloses on your cheap $200,000 home. And it's not just the roof, it's the grocery store. Oklahoma is one of the few states that charges a full sales tax on groceries. When you combine state, county, and municipal taxes, you're paying nearly 9% on every gallon of milk, every carton of eggs, every loaf of bread. In 2026, with food inflation still nagging at the economy, this is a regressive tax that hits the working families the hardest. You are paying a premium to eat in a state that grows the food. The pros of Oklahoma are fading. Yes, the people are friendly. Yes, the traffic is light. But the cons, they are catastrophic. We are seeing a trend of reverse migration, where people are moving north to Kansas or Missouri, states with similar geography but slightly more regulated insurance markets. Oklahoma lures you in with the home price, but it bleeds you dry with the deductibles. Number 6 is the state that was supposed to be the new Florida, South Carolina. Charleston, Greenville, Myrtle Beach. These names became synonymous with the good life for retirees fleeing the Northeast. It offered the coast without the Florida price tag. But South Carolina is currently suffering from a severe case of systemic failure. The state's population exploded between 2020 and 2025, but the tax base did not keep up. South Carolina has incredibly low property taxes for owner-occupied homes. That sounds good, right? Wrong, because the state has to get that money from somewhere to pay for the roads, the sewers, and the police for all these new people. So where do they get it? They get it from you in ways you don't see until it's too late. First, the newcomer tax. Many counties in South Carolina have implemented aggressive impact fees on new construction. If you buy a new build in a nice subdivision, you might find $5,000, $10,000, or even $15,000 in county development fees wrapped into your closing costs. But the real killer is the vehicle property tax. This is the shock that sends newcomers into a rage. In South Carolina, you don't just pay a registration fee for your car. You pay a property tax every single year based on the value of the car. Did you move down here with a $60,000 pickup or a luxury SUV? Be prepared to write a $1,200 check to the DMV every year just to put a sticker on your license plate. If you have two nice cars, that's $2,500 a year, effectively a second month of mortgage payments just for the privilege of driving. And what are you driving on? Potholes. South Carolina's road infrastructure is ranked among the most dangerous and poorly maintained in the developed world. The wear and tear on your vehicle is a hidden cost of living. We spoke to a retiree in Colombia who has replaced his tires and suspension twice in 3 years. That is a hidden cost of living that doesn't show up on the spreadsheet. Furthermore, the retiree glut has overwhelmed the healthcare system. In areas like Hilton Head and Bluffton, the wait times to see a specialist have stretched to 6 months. People are moving here for the slow pace of life, only to find that the pace is slow because the infrastructure is broken. Number 5. Alabama. Now, Alabama often flies under the radar. It doesn't have the flash of Florida or the cowboy mystique of Texas. It markets itself on one thing: rock-bottom prices. You can find a 3-bedroom house on an acre of land for $230,000. Property taxes are the lowest in the nation, often just a few $100s a year. So why is it a trap? Why will it bankrupt you? Because Alabama operates on a low-tax, low-service model that pushes the cost of survival onto the individual. Let's talk about the grocery tax again. Alabama is aggressive about this. They tax food at the full 4% state rate, plus local taxes. In some municipalities, the tax on baby formula and bread is 10%. If you're a young family or a retiree on a fixed income, this eats away at your savings with terrifying speed. But the bigger issue in 2026 is the wage gap. Alabama has successfully attracted some industry, auto manufacturing, aerospace, but outside of those bubbles, the median household income is stuck at $58,000. That's 25% below the national average. If you move here with a remote job, you are fine, until you lose that job. If you have to enter the local Alabama job market, you are looking at a massive pay cut. We are talking about professional salaries that are 30 to 40% lower than in Georgia or Tennessee. You might save 20% on the house, but you lose 40% on your income. That is negative math. And then there is the healthcare crisis. Rural hospitals in Alabama have been closing at a record rate. If you buy that cheap house in the country, you need to check the GPS. How far is the ambulance? We found a couple, the Davises, who moved to rural Alabama to retire. Mr. Davis had a heart attack. The ambulance took 45 minutes to arrive because the local county station had been defunded. He survived, barely, but the airlift bill and the out-of-network costs wiped out their entire savings from the move. Alabama is cheap for a reason. It is a state where you are completely on your own. Number 4 is Arizona. Phoenix, Scottsdale, Mesa. For 30 years, this was the California escape pod. You sell the shack in LA, you buy a palace with a pool in the desert. But in 2026, the desert is fighting back, and it is winning. Arizona is currently facing a utility crisis that is redefining the cost of living. The average home price is stuck at a lofty $435,000, but the cost to keep that home habitable is the real story. Let's talk about the summer mortgage. From June to September, living in Arizona requires running air conditioning 24 hours a day. In 2026, energy rates have surged due to the strain on the grid and the transition to new power sources. We are seeing average summer electric bills hitting $600 a month. Think about that. That is not a utility bill. That is a car payment. That is a student loan payment. And you have to pay it, or your house becomes an uninhabitable oven within hours. But the deeper trap is water. Arizona has introduced tiered water pricing in many populous counties to combat the mega drought. If you have a pool, if you have a lawn, if you have a large family that uses a lot of water, you are now paying punitive rates. The days of the lush green oasis in the desert are over. If you want a green lawn, be prepared to pay $300 a month for water. And we cannot ignore the investor exodus. During the pandemic, investors bought up thousands of homes in Phoenix to turn them into Airbnbs. Now, the market is oversaturated. Vacancy rates are up. Investors are dumping these houses. This has softened the rental market, which sounds good, but if you bought a house in 2024 expecting it to appreciate, you are now underwater. You are paying high interest, high utilities, and your home value is stagnant. Arizona is a state where you pay luxury prices to live in a climate that is actively trying to kill you. Number 3. Louisiana. This is perhaps the most tragic entry on our list. The culture, the food, the music. Louisiana is an American treasure, but financially, it's a disaster zone. You can buy a home here for $215,000. It's incredibly cheap, but there's a reason for that fire sale pricing. Louisiana is the canary in the coal mine for the global insurance collapse. Major insurers, the names you know and trust, have packed their bags and left. They've crunched the numbers on hurricanes, flooding, and litigation, and they said, no more. If you buy a home in southern Louisiana today, you are likely forced onto the Citizens Plan, the state-run insurer of last resort. The premiums are astronomical. We are talking about $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 a year for a modest home, and the coverage? It's paper thin. But the trap goes deeper than hurricanes. It's the legal environment. Louisiana has some of the highest auto insurance rates in the nation. Why? Because of a legal system that encourages litigation and high accident rates. So let's do the math for a new resident. You save money on the mortgage, but you pay double the national average for home insurance. You pay double the national average for car insurance, and you pay the highest combined sales tax in America, averaging 9.55%. And then there's Cancer Alley. The industrial corridor along the Mississippi River creates jobs, yes, but it also creates health liabilities. We're seeing families moving out not because of money, but because of health. If you move to Louisiana for the cheap housing, you are effectively betting your savings against Mother Nature and a crumbling infrastructure. In 2026, the house always wins. Number 2. The heavy hitter. Texas. Don't California my Texas. That was the slogan. But the irony is, Texas has become just as expensive as the state they mock. They just charge you in a different way. The Texas trap is subtle. It baits you with no state income tax. Keep your whole paycheck, they say. And that sounds amazing, until you get your property tax bill. Texas has some of the highest effective property tax rates in the country. In many areas, it is near 2%. But in the new booming suburbs around Austin, Dallas, and Houston, there is a hidden layer called MUD taxes, municipal utility districts. Developers build infrastructure and pass the debt onto the homeowner. In these MUD districts, your tax rate can hit 2.8 or even 3%. Let's do the math on that. You buy a reasonable $400,000 home. Your annual tax bill is $12,000. That is $1,000 a month just for taxes. You never pay that off. Even when your mortgage is zero, you still owe the state rent of $1,000 a month. But here is the bankruptcy factor for 2026: aggressive reassessment. In Texas, they reassess your home value every single year. If your neighborhood becomes popular and your home value jumps from $400,000 to $600,000, you don't just high-five your spouse, you panic, because your tax bill just jumped from $12,000 to $18,000. We're seeing thousands of retirees being taxed out of their paid-off homes. They live on a fixed income, but their tax bill keeps inflating. And let's not forget the power grid. Since the failure in 2021, electricity rates have climbed, and many homeowners feel forced to buy whole home generators. That is a $15,000 infrastructure tax that you pay out of pocket because the state can't guarantee the lights will stay on. Texas is a state where you own the house, but the government owns your wallet. And here we are, the epicenter, the #1 state that will bankrupt you in 2026. Florida. For decades, Florida was the ultimate destination. Sun, sand, and savings. But today, Florida is the poster child for the escrow squeeze. The average home price is still hovering around $402,000, but the all-in monthly cost of that home has exploded. The primary villain is insurance. Florida's home insurance market is broken. The average premium is now $6,250. That's nearly 4 times the national average. But in coastal zones, it is $10,000, $12,000 a year. And that's if you can get it. Many homes are becoming uninsurable, which means you cannot get a mortgage to buy them. Cash only. But here is the specific trap for 2026. The thing that is ruining retirees right now is the condo crisis. Following the tragic collapse of the Surfside condo tower, Florida passed strict new laws. Condo owners who used to pay $400 a month in HOA fees are suddenly getting hit with special assessments. We're talking about bills for $50,000, $80,000 due immediately, or monthly fees jumping to $2,000. Imagine buying a retirement condo for $200,000, thinking you're set for life, and then getting a bill for $80,000 to fix the concrete foundation. You can't pay it, you can't sell the condo because no one wants to buy the liability. You're trapped. And finally, inflation. Because so much wealth migrated to Florida from New York and California, the price of services has skyrocketed. You're paying New York prices for services on a Florida fixed income. The Florida dream is dead. It's been replaced by a high-stakes gambling game where you're betting against hurricanes, insurance companies, and structural engineers. So, where does that leave us? If the South is too expensive and the coast is too taxed, where is the safe haven? The data for 2026 is pointing to a new direction. The boring belt. We're seeing smart money move to the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic, places like Michigan, Pennsylvania, and parts of the Carolinas away from the coast. Places where water is abundant. Places where insurance is boring and stable. Places where a $300,000 house actually costs $300,000. The American exit isn't about leaving the country. It's about leaving the hype. It's time to stop chasing the hot markets and start looking for the solvent ones. I'm curious, do you live in one of these 7 states? Have you seen your insurance or taxes spike? Let us know your real numbers in the comments below. We need to warn each other. And if you want to know the top 10 cities that are actually safe for your wallet, watch this video next. I'll see you there.